Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering and persecuted church around the world. Today we're going to be speaking about the island nation of Papua New Guinea. Just north of Australia, Papua New Guinea is home to about 7 million people and to about 852 different languages. To tell us more about the Catholics living on this island, it is my great privilege to welcome His Eminence, Cardinal John Ribat of Papua New Guinea. Your Eminence, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Yeah, Mark, thank you. This has been a great moment to be together, and I'm happy and pleased to be here.
Your Eminence, you are Papua New Guinea's first cardinal. What was it like when you got the news you were the Cardinal of Papua New Guinea?
It really shocked me, and it made me lost for words. I did not understand why it happened this way.
You got a telephone call, the nuncio, how did it happen?
The nuncio told me, but he mentioned to me that he had a very urgent message that he wanted to communicate this to me. And it was on the Sunday. And that Sunday, I remember very well, I've been out in one of our rural parishes giving confirmation, sacramental confirmation. And so when I came back at about 5:30, towards 6 o'clock. And I was very tired, and I was just looking forward to take an early rest. And so when I have had my meal and just getting ready to go to bed, and then this phone call came, and it was from the nuncio. It was about 9:15. First of all, he asked me, "What time do you go to rest?" And I said, "Well, I'm just thinking of going to rest now, because I just came from the rural parish and very tired. I just want to take an early rest." And he said, "No, you wait for me until I come, because I had an urgent message that I'd like to pass on to you." Now, for me, that gave me a negative signal. It was not positive.
What have I done wrong?
Exactly. That was, what have I done? Because it's not normal that he calls at this time and he wanted to see me. And then I said, well, this is really something that I may have done. Something has really gone wrong. Now, from where did it happen? Yeah. And so I started really kind of thinking what has happened that time, that day, and during the week and the week before. I was recalling, and I said, well, I do not know. I'm not sure, but I'll have to wait. So when he came, and we sat at the table, and he said that, Archbishop, I had a call from the Vatican, and I am announcing this news to you. He said, the Pope Francis has appointed you Cardinal of Papua New Guinea. And for me...
Did you fall off your chair?
I didn't know what to say, and I was just shocked, sitting there for a while. Then I told the nuncio that, really, I do not understand why this happened. But one thing I must say here, that I never dreamt of this. Was never in my focus, was never in my mind. I never want to become this, and it came at this time. But I'd like to say this, that if it is really God's will for me, all I ask is give me the grace and strength to live this out faithfully and joyfully. For me, this is the message I give to him.
Your Eminence, we have heard a lot about Pope Francis reaching out to the peripheries. Is this somehow, do you feel that this is related, your nomination or rather appointment as Cardinal, as part of the Holy Father's reaching out to the peripheries?
Yes, and he himself, that's what he has been saying, is reaching out to the peripheries, bringing those who were out there and has been out there for so long, bring them to the center. And for me, I think this has been a very wise decision, because I'm seeing it from this point of view, that, the small churches are going through some moment of crisis, some issues in their life, and they want this also to be heard of, to be known of this. And so his appointment, for me, it is a great blessing for the church, well, universal church, but for those churches who are very small and who are out in the...
What is the message that Papua New Guinea as a church can bring to the universal church? What is your contribution, if I can say it? I mean, it sounds terrible, but what is the contribution of the Papuan church to the universal church?
For us, this is what I'd like to say about living the faith where we are. And living the faith where we are, we come from very simple background. The majority subsistence economy is right in where we are in our own villages and so on. Living our faith with all our challenges and so on, that continue to bring us, and we are seeing, we live it in faith, trusting in God, and to help us in this, our situation. And that continue to give us joy, continue to give us strength also, and continue to give us hope in the help of our God. But also we are seeing the help of God coming through from others to us. So for us to be able to kind of share this and also see this contribution to the universal church, we are seeing that what we can say is this the faith that we share together, we have together, to live it joyfully, trusting that He's there with us. And that's how we have lived our life. And so for me, this is also what I'd like to say to the whole church, that we have our own problems and so on, but above all, to trust God, who has really chosen us and who has trusted in us, and He has given all that we have. So for us, with the faith that we have, the simple life that we have, we can say this is our contribution to the church. We have lived it joyfully, we have lived it simply, and we continue to live it in the way that it gives us strength, hope, and also to know that we are part of the whole church, the big church, and it's the universal church.
Your Eminence, you are also a Sacred Heart missionary. In fact, you are the first cardinal of the Sacred Heart missionary, so it was a double privilege in many ways. The Sacred Heart missionaries were the first ones to evangelize, to mission in Papua New Guinea, and for many of them, at risk of their lives, many of the missionaries died, in fact, in their service to the church. Papua New Guinea was a nation where cannibalism was still practiced at the time, etc., etc., etc. And so they were received with great distrust when they first came. So with great courage. How do you see yourself standing on the shoulders of these men who have gone before you? And how has this influenced your spirituality?
Well, for me, this has been the inspiration that I got from them, and the way that they've lived their life and shared their life with our people from before. We are hearing this, and also we are seeing how they've brought us together, the missionaries. We know of the beginnings of our church there. You see, I can say this way, there were two attempts were made already before for the missionaries to come. The first one, they were really the PME, the Pontifical Mission of Milan. And so they came at that time. But then, because of sicknesses, because of lack of medicine and so on, so they have to come all the way back. They have to return. And one of them was killed. He's a martyr in Papua New Guinea. And so there's another attempt also. After them, a Marist congregation came. And again, for the same reason, they were turned back again because of sickness, malaria, and all this. So they came back again. The third attempt was the MSCs, the missionaries of the Sacred Heart. And they came to the island where I came from. And then they started the mission.
Were you missioned as a child by the MSC fathers?
Yes,
Is that
yes.
That's how you came into contact with this?
Missionaries in the diocese where I come from, they were German missionaries. The one who was a missionary to my village, what I usually see in him, when he was coming to my village, he would visit the people People was the village was where there were two villages. So when he came on an island, when he came, he would spend at least 2-3 days or 4 days in the two villages, and he was usually come by boat. So when he came, he would visit the whole families. He would say hello to the families and so on. And those who are sick and old, he would go and spend time with them, just to kind of make them aware that he has arrived. He wants them to know that he's there. Now we are celebrating. We'll celebrate our faith. We will have the celebration of the Eucharist and prayers, rosary, and so on. So again, people were awakening up to this. Said, okay, well, this is the time that he has come again. And then he would do also to the other community. So it was really kind of a joyful for us. It was always joyful for us to see our pastor coming to us.
Was he the inspiration of your own vocation?
He was. He was the inspiration of my vocation. Eh? And because, the way he was approaching the people, for me, this was the way I'd like to do it also. And that really touched me and moved me. And you see, after the school, the primary school in my village, and then I went to the high school. I didn't go to the Catholic high school after that. No, I went to the government high school, a co-ed school. And this thought was always there, was strong with me.
Always the sense of that you thought of the vocation of a priesthood.
Yes, exactly.
Your Eminence, you are now, and your vocation has been also one of mission, of going out and mission in the islands of Papua New Guinea. And as we know, geographically, it's very challenging. And there are, I believe, 850 different languages throughout the island, which means there are many, many small communities that are... What challenge does this bring for you as a missionary? How do you mission in this geographical, but also in this culture which is still changing so rapidly, from this village life to this modernity where everybody's walking around with a mobile phone?
Mm-hmm. I began my priestly life in 1985. That's when I was ordained, 1st December 1985. But then I was appointed to a parish in 86. And in that parish, there was a Spanish parish priest. And also there was another curate helping him, was a French priest. And then there was an older one, also from Spain, who was there with them. So the three of them were together. And when I arrived at the parish, they welcomed me. And they introduced me to a different culture altogether, different people. I do not know their language. I do not know their culture. I knew nothing of these people. And then they said, John, you have come to this place. It's new, we know. You do not know them. You do not know the language. You do not know the culture. And so you come knowing nothing. And then I said, well, that's good. But then at the same time, it was troubling me. I said, well, how will I do my work among these people here? How can I minister to them? But then this is what it is. I was aware, and it was in our school. We learn about our country. It is made up of 800 different localities, languages and cultures and so on. And then that's what the Spanish priest, the parish priest, Jose Diaz, he told me, he said, John, for the first 6 months of your life as a priest, and your first year as a priest, and beginning your mission life as a priest, you have to start by learning the language. No sacrament to be administered and so on. You start by learning the language, and that's how you get to know people. And that was it. He put me at a place where no one knew other languages except their own language. And I found that the real teachers were the kids. Okay, the big ones, they will tell me things and so on, they will show me. I said, okay, good. But the kids, they were the ones, if you want to know something, you go and ask them. And they will tell you the truth. The big ones, they tell you what they want you to know. And so that's how I learned. I learned language.
When you come, for example, to an environment, a village, where perhaps Christianity has not, or they've not been exposed to Christianity. They have their own tribal practices and tribal culture. First of all, are they aware, is there an understanding of God in their lives? Is there an openness to, so when you come as a missionary, are they open to you and are they open to the message?
Well, not always. But you have to really be open, really let to know what is it that they want to know from you. They don't accept easily what you say first. But you have also to kind of exchange with them, know what they want. And only after this, then you know them. Then you know how to deal with them. You know how to talk to them.
You have to gain their trust.
That's right, exactly. And this is what it is. So you don't just go in and tell them what you think. You get nothing.
As many missionaries would say, God was already there before you.
Yes, exactly that. And I found that myself. I did not force them to know what I know.
Many missionaries have been accused of damaging the local culture and destroying, coming with and in some way damaging or destroying the local culture. How would you respond to this allegation because in many ways, in fact, the church has been one who has tried to protect the good things in local culture?
You see, this is what I know, and I speak about the place where I come from. Because there we have the practice of this duk-duk, the tumbuan, and that was our God before the missionaries came.
What was, can you explain tuk-tuk, what is it?
It is really kind of a spirit, the people made this thing look like something with a kind of a face that is from a mask, and the body is.
So they had an image of God.
Image of God that way, and that is for us, and it's still there today. This culture is still there today, and it's now a show thing, but it is people are still valuing it, and it has a lot of meaning for us. And this, I say, duk-duk or the tumbuan, before whatever it says, people will follow to kill or to do whatever, destroy. God speaks, and that's what we.
And how do you introduce the Holy Spirit then?
But then this is what it is. Okay, when this was seen very strong, and it was really the God for us, where I come from, the people where I come from. The missionaries came and said, "Stop. We have to stop this for a while, not destroying it." I said, "No. We just say stop. You have to learn also this one." And they were going to talk to the old people, the elders. The missionaries went, and that's how they spoke with them. I have the first missionaries to my village is Otto Maya, and he was the one who learned the language, and not so much there from outside. He was the first one, and it is how he got my people.
I want to talk a little bit about the young people now, and the challenge of young people in a very increasingly secularized society. I give the story very briefly of one because I was privileged to come and visit your country and do a documentary, and the story that we heard of a young lady who works in Port Moresby in the capital, and she's working on the computer with a handy, and then she takes a bus at the end of the day. She gets on a bus, she takes a bus 2 hours or 3 hours to her village, and then she gets out of her business clothes and puts on her traditional garb. And then she would go to the water and collect the water and then make the fire for the dinner and then be completely back absorbed into the traditional village life. My question to you is, how do you see the young people living this disparity of modernity, of the mobile phone and everything that it brings, and this culture of the traditional cultural village life? Is it schizophrenic for them? And how do you, as a church, try and help them live this time?
When the phone came, in the beginning, there was no introduction. There was no awareness, no preparation for it to come. And in this device now we have, it's a new thing that you have to do. And so everyone rushed for it. And without any knowledge, they said, "No, it's good for our kids, going to school and so on, give it to them." And then they realize the difficulty, the problems it brought them. The kids were able to contact their parents, but at the same time, it kind of disturbs them also, because in the program of the phone, you could see program like pornography and so on, all these other things like this. And as I said, there was no preparation for the people to be aware of all this. So it came to them now. Before, it was controlled by people who were showing films. Now, it's in your hands. And my message to them was always this. This small device here, it can either make you to become a good person or destroy you. This small thing here. And you don't have to look far to be able to look for things that can destroy you. It's right here. And it is so private to you. And this, even in our school today, this is what we are discussing. How can we control? How can we help our children? Because everything now is fed through the phone.
Yes, and more and more.
Through the computer. So this is it.
Yes. So we have to educate.
So and that's what we say. We have to educate our people, because in the village, our parents, they know nothing about this. And 80% of our people are in the villages. And only
20% in the urban areas.
In the urban areas. And this is what it is. And our parents, if they know nothing about this, who will help them? So the missionaries, we try to help them out as much as possible. But we have seen that parents have suffered, kids have suffered, families have suffered because of young girls' pregnancies. Because of pregnancies of the young girls? In what way? Yeah, in a way that, with this friendship that
I see.
is happening among the schools.
And it's provoking other social problems.
Yeah, other social problems. That's what it is.
I understand.
So that's, and that is why every year, when I speak to the teachers in our schools, Catholic schools and so on, this is a message I'm giving them. And it was so fruitful for me to hear and listen what they were going through also. And so for that, and every year when I meet, I ask them, how has this been going? Because we cannot stop this. Even when I asked them, said, even the small kids down there, are they using the phone? Yes. They have their program put through the mobile phone. And they have these tablets and so on to use. And I said, well, this is it.
Your Eminence, we've spoken a lot about mission in our program today. You have local vocations, but you also have an appeal for more missionaries. You need more missionaries. If I understand in our conversation, you have a huge territory to cover and not enough people. The harvest is many and the laborers are few.
Yes. In the beginning of our church there, we have countries that, especially, I speak about the MSCs first. And with the MSCs that came, we have missionaries from America. And their mission area was the diocese of Kavieng and Manus. That's where the American missionaries were. And then where I come from, they were the Germans missionaries. And where the other dioceses were the second, because they first arrived in Rabat, and then the second arrival from the MSC missionaries were in Yule Island, and then in Braina, Central Province, in Port Moresby, but some distance away from Port Moresby. And they were the Friends, that's where the Friends missionaries were. So we have these three Friends, and Australia was down in Milne Bay, the other place. So that's where so we have the four provinces where the missionaries came. We realized that the missionaries were slim in numbers now. And now we have seen missionaries, young people have joined and have come, of course. But again, the challenge is with the modern attraction and so on, and opportunities for them, well, the vocation also is
declining.
It's declining also. In the seminary, we usually have, for the diocese only, we usually have over 100 seminarians. Now, today, as we are speaking, there are 46 only. But vocations from religious made it so that we still have over 100 students in the seminary.
So
But-
if there are missionaries out there or people for a heart for the mission, you're calling on them.
Exactly. And in the diocese where I come from, where I'm administering, it's Port Moresby, the capital. Diocesan vocation is very small. It's only about 3. And we try to encourage vocation also. So I rely much on religious priests
And you're inviting them.
and inviting them to come. Yes, of course.
Your Eminence, thank you for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been nice. I have enjoyed sharing our situation, and especially for the church.
Thank you very much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Catholics in Papua New Guinea, or perhaps how you might be able to help through your prayers or through your action, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.